Geek Speak show at the second, now going to be annual thing, FlyCo Mini IndieCon. We are here. The creators are here. The Geek Speak show set up over there. You're gonna hear me. You're gonna see me, and you're gonna hear me do a show live. You'll hear it sometime this year because it's gonna take me a while to put it together. But we're gonna talk to all the creators here, see what they have going on, what you may not know about, because these are independent creators and nothing from the big ones. No Marvel, no DC. These are original. They're cool, they're good, maybe a little bit better than the ones you get every Wednesday. We'll see. We'll talk to them in just a little bit. Stay right there, and I'll go talk to them. So here we go, the Geek Speak show covering the second annual now, FlyCo Mini IndieCon. Let's start down the line here. First, Ben Ferrari with us. Ben, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
So go ahead and look into the camera, tell them, what do you have here, what do you do?
My name is Ben Ferrari. I'm Pilot Studios. I publish from my home in Concord. These are my 3 children. Wave. I've done over almost 40 comic books and coloring books. A couple of coloring books available on Amazon, and the rest of my books are available on indieplanet.com. And I do lots of different genres over the years, and I'd be happy to tell you more about them.
Yeah, start with the coloring books. Okay. Are those for all ages, or what kind of coloring books?
Well, adult coloring books, I would say yes, they are for all ages. There is some somewhat adultish material, nothing extreme, but yeah, kids and adults, I think. Pilot Studios coloring book is a bunch of artwork I've done over the years with various artists, and we put it together under one cover, black and white art. You can see some really great stuff in there. And this is definitely all ages. That is on Amazon or here at shows. Jeff Johnson, who's been doing comics and animation for 25 years, a friend of mine, I was able to publish 2 volumes of The Art of Jeff Johnson, a Pilot Studios coloring book. And it is age appropriate, and that is also available on Amazon. I also did one last coloring book called The Sun Chasers, Hitler's America Coloring Book Files. And it is a fully lettered comic book, graphic novel, black and white, that you can color and read the story as well. And it's about the son of Hitler out to redeem the Hitler name. He's a good guy, taking out people like his father, like the Punisher, with a much better backstory.
I'm glad you said that, because I know that title Grassy was like, wait, what do you mean Hitler's America?
Yeah,
what does that mean?
He is a good person. He's a good man. He's trying to make up for what his father did, which obviously is an impossible task, but he's doing his best. And there's an organization called the Sun Chasers Initiative, S-O-N, Sun Chasers, out to wipe the Hitler name from the earth. So you have some real drama between this good person and, you know, people who want to do what they think is right and get rid of that stain on the planet, basically.
See, and that's why we do FlyCo Mini IndieCon. I've never heard of this before. Where can we find it again?
On Amazon or here at shows, called Hitler's America, Sun Chasers. And it is available on Amazon. So I have the fully colored version. It's a 50-page graphic novel. Art by Kurt Belcher. There's some pinups in here as well as a prose story. So this is the regular graphic novel magazine version. And then, like I said, I have the coloring book version.
Yeah, so definitely one that I'm going to get, and I'm sure all of you are going to want to go. So let's go down the line here. What else do you have?
So The Carriers is probably my flagship book besides The Sun Chasers. And you're looking at a concept about weaponized carrier pigeons and their New York adventures. And I've done 2 issues of what's called War Correspondence, and it's basically a big pinup book with lots of different artists introducing the birds. And I also have a short story in this issue of the War Correspondence. I have 3 standalone books for The Carriers. If you would open that one up, if you can. It's basically called Pirate Bay, and the Carriers are introduced to a group of seagull pirates. And my friend Luis Rivera, who lives in Oakland and is just a fantastic artist, did the art in here. Story by J.D. Arnold, and that's probably one of my favorite books I've published in, almost 10 years, 40 comics. Watchers in the Night is also excellent, and it is about the Carriers coming up against a group of owls called the Parliament, and it's basically high road heroics versus low road. The Parliament are violent murderers, but they think their methods are necessary. So a lot of drama in there as well. Jay Hewer wrote the story. Jason Kimball, who is amazing, did all the art and colors. So that is the line of Carriers for the most part.
Now, for Pilot D, are most of the writers, artists, are they local, or where do you find
I
them?
work with people all over the place. My press guy is in Tennessee. Erica, the writer and co-creator of the characters, is in Florida. I mean, people are everywhere. One of my favorite colorists, Chuck Obach, who colored this carrier's print, is in the Philippines. So, and then Jeff Johnson is in Oregon. All over the place. Rarely are people here near me, actually.
Yeah, well, I do know, actually, doing the Geek Speak show for a while, in the Bay Area, there's a lot of really creative people who want to be doing this. And since you are an independent publisher, they're probably wondering, hey, how can I get my stuff to you? Can they?
I would love to work with more people, especially local. I would love to set up a studio as a complete aside. Set up a studio and have people come and work on comics, my comics or your comics. That's a long-term goal. But my email is benferrari44@gmail.com. And, of course, I'd love to talk to anybody interested in collaborating. My books are available on indieplanet.com, a few coloring books on Amazon. But this is not a big operation where there's a ton of money coming in. So there's no page rates, anything like that. At this point, everything is collaboration. I send out copies of the books as comps, of course. And you can also order as many of these as you want for cost. Same cost that I get them for shows here. So that's the other thing, is you're able to take your books that you work on to shows and sell them just like I'm able to.
Yeah, and that's the thing about independent creators. Most of them, they know that when they start, it's not going to be a lot of money involved, and a lot of them, they're pouring in all of their own money to get it published. So
yeah, that's exactly what it is. You're publishing, you're putting in money for the printing costs, and for, occasionally, like a guy named Martin Montiel, who's just a really well-known artist. Occasionally, a guy like that, I'll be able to buy a cover from him or something like that. But 95% of the time, it's all just collaboration. These guys are doing it because they want comics out there, and they want something on a resume to show who can actually pay this. So there's no money to be made in this, not on a scale where I can actually pay people at this point. But, if I make my table costs at a convention, I'm a happy guy. It costs money just for the table, and you hope to make just that money, and then hopefully some money for the printing costs on top. So you have to sell a whole lot of comics to make anything doing this. We do it for fun.
yeah, but really for the creators, and I'm sure you hear this too, that for them, just getting it published, getting it out there, that's enough of a paycheck for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting new comics in the mail that I've worked on and published is a very exciting time. And occasionally I'll get a video camera and open up a package and, describe what I'm seeing. And, it's always exciting when you get something new back from the printer. Absolutely.
Yeah, now here it's the second one, the FlyCo Mini IndieCon. We just started as we record this one. But so far, what do you think of the turnout?
I was at Stockton Con last week, and I think this is a better show for me than Stockton Con. It wasn't the greatest show. I've done Stockton Con 4 years in a row, and it wasn't my best. Still fun, still a lot of fun. I love the show. Please go. I'll see you next year. But I'm already having a great time. Lots of good customers. Joe runs a great store. I've been coming here since 2007, so almost 10 years. And we obviously have a lot of people hanging out and seeing what we're doing. So I'm absolutely happy, and we're only an hour into it.
Yeah. Now, besides shows like this, I mean, what else can we and the viewers, the listeners, the Geek Speak, what can we do to get the word out about independent creators?
Independent creators, well, if you've got friends on Facebook who are producing, support their work, share their work. Come to shows like this, obviously, and see what people are doing. I consider what I'm doing, whether it's Sun Chasers or the Carriers or the Long Hunters down there, North American Mountain Men, originality is the key. So if you want something a little bit different, not the same thing that you'll get from Marvel and DC, then support those publishers, buy a comic book, and then we can keep doing it.
Yeah, so again, it's Ben Ferrari from Pilot Studios. Ben, thanks a lot.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
So here we go again, going down the aisle at FlyCo Mini IndieCon, the second one, the annual thing now. With us now, over into the show, you've heard him, now you get to see him. Alexis Fajardo. Hi, Alex.
Hey, how are you?
How's it going?
Good, good.
So, most of the regulars, they've heard about Kid Beowulf. The few who haven't,
Right.
Tell them, what is Kid Beowulf?
Yeah, actually, we have the advantage of visuals, so you can actually see what I've been blabbing about.
Yeah.
So it's an action-adventure graphic novel series, similar to Bone, Asterix, or Avatar: The Last Airbender. And this is the new book that just came out a couple weeks ago, Kid Beowulf, The Bloodbound Oath. And the earlier edition was a self-published black and white edition. This is a nice, pretty
Color edition.
full color edition.
Hold it up.
And it turned out great. I'm really excited with it. It's been getting some really nice reviews. And at the very back, we have like 30 pages of back matter, like maps and glossaries and all this stuff that we couldn't do the first time around. That really kind of expands the universe a little bit. So yeah, it's been doing really well. I have other books in the series. A short story that kind of takes place before the events of the original tale. Some have said this is the Hobbit to my Lord of the Rings. And then the Adventures of Beowulf and Grendel in France, the Song of Roland, and the adventures of them in Spain, called The Rise of El Cid, which I think we spoke about a couple years ago. That was a Kickstarter.
Yeah.
And then this is the little flyer for the new Kickstarter that we spoke about recently, Looking for Lingonberries mobile game. So yeah, it's Kid Beowulf is going strong, and it's fun to sort of get it out there in all its different forms.
Now, the first two, are those in color also, or not yet?
So these are the highly sought after black and white editions, which will most likely in years' time go for crazy amounts on eBay. So
Well,
yeah.
in comics, we call them collector's editions.
Collector's editions, yeah. These are the collector's editions. A full color version of this will come out in February.
Okay.
And pending that they do well, we'll keep doing the series. So my colorist is actually working on book 3 now.
Okay.
So that's kind of the mode now. I kind of liken it to what Jeff Smith did with his original black and white editions, moving them to Scholastic and color.
Right.
So yeah.
And when you do those, will they have all the bonus features, I guess we can call them?
Yeah, this publisher, Andrews McMeel, this is part of their AMP Comics for Kids line, and they're all about getting them into kids' hands, into schools and libraries, so they can use that back matter as a teaching tool. So yeah, we'll have a lot of stuff in book 2. I even have a recipe in book 2 where you can make this dish that one of my characters did to thwart a giant. Kids can make that, and same for book 3. And doing that additive stuff is a lot of fun. It just kind of, like I said, it broadens the universe a little. So.
Yeah, well, the last time you were on the show, that's what we were talking about. You brought in again with the game.
Right.
It is out now.
Yep.
What's been the response?
It's been really good. It's for those who have downloaded it, go to iTunes or the Google App Store, search for Kid Beowulf. You can get it there. You maybe rate and review it. That always helps get into more hands. But people are addicted to this thing, man. I have people who are asking, is there going to be another version of it, sort of more levels? They've already cleared through the 100 levels, and they want to get 3 stars. So people are enjoying it, which is really fun. And it's just another way to get the content, so to speak.
Well, that's kind of what you want in the video game. You want them to get addicted to it and keep wanting coming back and coming back. But that was the first time you did that. Now that you have, do you want to do another one, or
I'd like
stick
to.
to writing?
Yeah, if they take a lot of time. All this stuff takes so much time just to write and to draw. I'm in the middle of finishing up another short story. I like doing these kind of like standalone edition short stories that kind of build out the universe too.
Yeah.
And that one takes place with some characters from book 2. So I really like creating the characters, coming up with stories. It does take time to just sit and draw and scratch out the panels. But when it comes together in a book form, or in this case, video game form, it's really satisfying. So I would like to do another game. If my game developer and I come up with an idea, we'll test it out. And I love doing the books.
Well, I don't want to tell you what to do, but you've got the books, you've got the game, animated Kid Beowulf now?
That's right. If you know of some producers, send them my way. I'm always open to exploring different things. I do have a lot of unique book trailers that I've done that you can go to my YouTube channel, just search Kid Beowulf or my name. And we launched one for book 1. So I'm always experimenting, always playing around with the form and seeing what'll work. So yeah, you're not the first to tell me that they can see it in animated form.
Yeah.
So we can explore that too.
Yeah, so I think that's what's next. Now here we're at the second FlyCo Mini IndieCon. You've done Free Comic Book Day here, and you know the turnout for that. But for this one, We just started as we record this, but what do you think so far?
It's a lot of fun. It's great to sort of have this great venue. We get the fans to ourselves. We can do a lot of back and forth. There have been some folks who are artists and writers, and to show them how we go about our creative process is really fun. Give them some tips and tricks. Kids are discovering the book that never seen it before, so I'm excited. It's great. I'm glad that it's really fortunate that we have a store like this, and Joe is so able to do it. So,
yeah, absolutely. So looking to the camera, let them know where they can follow you on social media and everything.
So my website is kidbeowulf.com. Twitter is Lex at LexKidB. And there's a Facebook page. You can find it at Kid Beowulf. Any way you want to find it, you can find it online. And drop me a line and let me know what you think.
So it's Alexis Fajardo and the Kid Beowulf universe. Thanks, Lex.
Yeah, thank you.
It's me, it's Henry San Miguel. You can follow me on Twitter and Periscope at Geek Speak Show 1. We are recording live as it happens. The second now annual FlyCo Mini IndieCon. Mel Smith, Matt Harding, Alexis Fajardo, Ben Ferrari. And oh yeah, guy you may have heard, Gene Luen Yang, special guest. He's here also. You may hear from them. I may go to them. If not, you will definitely see them on our YouTube channel. You can check the full interviews on there. Before we get going on this episode, let me do a little bit of house cleaning. One, I've told you about this one. It's happening already. The next thing we're doing is not till October, but in like a week from now, it's going to be September. So it's almost October. October 6th, Thursday, 6:30 p.m., the Century 20 in Daly City. We're going to be screening Comics Beyond the Comic Book Page. It's a movie about what we're going to talk about here, comic books, directed by Michael Valentine. So it's a Tug event. Go to tug.com, comics, C-O-M-I-X. Look for it there. Get the tickets, because if you guys don't get the tickets, it's not going to happen. And afterwards, you're going to get to be a part of the Geek Speak Show, because you get to see me do what I'm doing right here. I'm going to talk to you guys. You guys get to speak geek. You'll be part of the Geek Speak Show. And since we do know that a lot of people who do movies, who write and draw these comic books, they're going to hear your opinions. So here's your chance to let them know what great a job they're doing, or you could do a little bit better, Warner Brothers. But that will all be happening Thursday, October 6th at 6:30 p.m. at Century 20 in Daly City. It began only if you go to tug.com, Tugg.com, and buy the tickets now. Now, here we go. Like I said, we're recording this one live. Well, it's not live as you're listening to, but it's live when we did this. So here we go. Let's talk to all the artists that are here at FlyCo Mini IndieCon at Flying Colors Comics. For Jeff, how you doing?
I'm doing really good. Thanks.
So good to see you out here, first of all.
Yeah, I like the independent stuff. I come out and support the store.
Yeah. So let's talk about your work. I mean, what are you working on?
Currently this week I'm working on the Flying Colors calendar that we do once a year. I'm also working on a lot of figures for the store. I do a lot of that kind of stuff, promotional stuff for the store. Currently I'm working on the Andrews abduction, a failing marriage saved by an alien abduction, the Andrews abduction. That is a graphic novel. It may turn out to be about a 4-issue miniseries, or it's going to be a graphic novel. Also, a lot of short story stuff or graphic classics. I think it's in October. The Raven, Edgar Allan Poe's The Raven, will come out. This will be the first time it's been published in full color, and the colors I did those. Yeah. So it'll be a different version of of coloring. It's never been published in color, so it was a lot of fun to color it.
Perfect timing too for Halloween.
Yeah, graphic classics, and it's the Edgar Allan Poe issue. It'll be here at the store, I'm sure.
Yeah, and let me go back to the calendar, because I guess you could say we take it for granted it's going to be there every year, but I wasn't aware that you guys start thinking about it. Well, I guess I call it early, but it's almost September as we record this. How does that happen? Do you go to Joe? He comes to you. Do you guys get together? How does that come?
Well, it did start. It was Joe's idea. Joe's a real promotion man, and
I've noticed. Yeah.
he the very first calendar he had asked Johnny Ramita Jr. to do a banner that we were going to incorporate into the calendar, and you may not remember, but there's a drawing of the store, and on top of the roof are some Marvel characters: Spider-Man, Iron Man, Thor, I believe. And Joe wanted to use that for our one-time calendar, so he asked me to do the graphics on it, and so it's built in Illustrator. And the first calendar that first year, people really liked it, and it comes from a tradition of store promotions. Like Tower Records used to have a calendar they gave out every year.
Yeah.
So in that tradition, we've been doing a calendar once a year. This next year, 2017, I believe is our 11th calendar. So we've been doing it for 11 years, and every year it's different. And it's all about the calendar. It's all about the store, the stuff you can buy in the store. You wrapped it in hopefully a nice design. Next year, 2017, is going to be a very special calendar. I don't want to reveal anything right now, but it'll come out. I believe it's Black Friday.
Mm-hmm.
That's usually when we reveal the calendar and everybody can get one. And of course, they're free. So as far as I know, still this year it'll be Black Friday to pick up your free 2017 Flying Colors calendar. It's not too late to get the 2016 either.
Yeah.
They're in there. They're in there.
Yeah, and free, like you said.
Still free. Still free. So between that and these other stories and things I'm developing, I'm planning on bringing back Atomic Man.
Mm-hmm.
Originally, that was a Blackthorn book from back in the day. Redesigned it, and I'm going to include more of the family in the story. So it's a story of a man who has atomic energy, and he's married, and he's trying to make it all work. How did he get those powers? Well, that's the story.
Yeah.
How he got those powers.
Yeah. Let me go back to what you can say, the one you were talking about, the alien abduction.
Mm-hmm.
That one, where did that story come from? Because
well, they say write what you know. So I tend to lean towards family stuff, or if there's a bunch of characters in a story, they're probably related in some way, whether it's a horror story, a science fiction story, superhero story, and I liked the idea of a family in crisis, a lot of good character stuff, and then it gets worse. You ever wake up and you think, oh crap, it's Monday, gotta go to work, you get in your car and you find out one of your tires are flat, and all of a sudden you wish you could go back an hour when you just thought it was a lousy Monday until before you found out your tire was flat. This is like that. This is a family that's on the brink of ruin, and it's told through the eyes of the 17-year-old daughter, whose name is Amanda Andrews, and what her plans are and her career plans. She plans to be a writer. She doesn't know what she wants to write about. At the same time, she's planning to run away to be that writer she wants to be. She has one more day with the family before she's going to leave. That last day happens to be a picnic that her father wants all the kids to be at. It's a work picnic. And it's coming home from that picnic that they are abducted by aliens from outer space, and that's when things get worse for them.
okay.
So it's about change. It's about people having plans and having those plans ruined and having to come up with a plan B. So it's going to be there's going to be a lot of action. There's going to be aliens, and I hope it's a really good-looking book as far as the drawings are concerned and all that. So it's not going to be as wild as the horror stuff I do. I'm going to tone it down a little bit, but I kind of think it's going to probably be the most commercial thing I do or have done.
Yeah, and let me tie that what you're saying to the reason why we're here at the FlyCo Mini IndieCon, the independent stuff. But what I'm hearing from a lot of people that have been out of here, and I don't know if you agree with this or not, is they like the independent stuff because it's not superheroes. It's not the same stuff you get from the big two, Marvel, DC, and like yours sounds. It'll be like I said, maybe a series, maybe a graphic novel. You're not sure yet, but it's not the typical. You've been bitten by a radioactive something, or you get hit by rays, and now you can fly, or whatever it is.
In my stories, when you're bit by something, you get an infection. That's about it.
Yeah. So do you think that's the main reason why people come to independence, because it's not the tights, it's not the superheroes?
I do. I think people. I mean, there's some for as many superhero books that are out. And I loved superhero books growing up. That's kind of the only comic book you could buy was a superhero book. As much as I love them, some of the crews that are working on the Marvel books and DC books, people do want to read something that maybe they could relate to just a little bit more than Superman's problems or Batman's problems, which I don't relate to.
Well, yeah, because we don't have $1 billion to throw at our problems like Bruce Wayne does.
And so maybe at first the thought of a family with parents who are miserable and are about to divorce, there's no other solution to this problem, and then they're abducted by aliens. Maybe there's something in there that they can relate to.
Yeah.
The idea of having a problem that is ruining your life, and then having to change your plans, and can these things be fixed? Can these problems be fixed? Well, in this story, these issues will be addressed. Maybe they won't get fixed. Maybe, and we never hear from that family again. We'll see.
Yeah, and
I do know the indie, by the way.
Yeah, I don't know if I can point to one specific thing, but I've noticed that I would say past 5-6 years, a lot more people, the independents are getting a lot more popular than they used to be before, and I don't know if it's because of that. I don't want to call it superhero fatigue or anything, but besides things like this, like the FlyCo Mini IndieCon, what else can we do to get more attention out to the independents?
More attention?
Yeah.
Well, events like Joe has here today, the Mini Indie Convention, I definitely believe. There goes the fire department.
That'll get your attention.
I definitely believe that if you have a project and a product you really believe in, that you can go to the internet and you can start building an audience. And that's where it I think that's where it's going to start. Have a place on the internet to go and see with no obligation. You can go to the website and you can learn about someone's project. I come from the world beyond and before, when there was no internet and you had to rely on printed fanzines.
Yeah.
And you could find fanzines here or there in the store, or you'd have to mail away for them. And these days, of course, you can go to your computer and you can look up all these different subjects and things you want to know about. So the internet's the place I plan to go to build my crowd and to build an audience for these projects. And then use the retailing stores, the brick and mortar stores, to continue that. There's different ways to get attention and some publicity for your projects.
Yeah, and for those that want to be writers, artists, independent writers, artists, would the best advice to be just do it?
The best advice, the only advice is you got to sit down and do it. You got to sit down and get down on paper that story premise, that illustration, that character design. There's no getting around it. You have to sit down and do it. Yeah, sometimes you may want to wait until you're in the mood, but once you get serious, you get in the habit of build that habit of sitting down and getting those ideas on paper. I always do it. I do it every day. And it doesn't even have to be a good drawing. It doesn't need to be very sophisticated. Just get it on paper, and then the next day you can go back to that piece of paper and continue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And where can they find your work online?
Pardon?
Where can they find your work online?
Currently, on Facebook is where I've been putting most of my stuff because it's pretty quick for me to put stuff up on Facebook. Just type in Jeff Bonnevert and you'll find me. I haven't gone much beyond that because I've been sitting like I say, at the table, just drawing and writing. So when I have a due date for the book to be out or short stories to be out, I'll go beyond Facebook and or create a Facebook page that's solely for the writing and the drawing that a person can go to and get the latest info on it. I find that to be just really quick.
Yeah. Yeah, so thanks for sitting down for us for a quick one. Jeff Bonnevert at FlyCo Mini IndieCon. Thanks a lot, Jeff.
My pleasure.
So the Geek Speak show here, still at the second annual FlyCo Mini IndieCon. Special guest this year, Luen Yang. Gene, how are you?
Good, good. Thanks for coming by and talking to me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. It's good to see you. So a lot of you may have seen all of his work, so talk a little bit about some of the books that you've written.
Sure. I do some books with characters that I created myself, some books with characters that other people created. Right now, I'm promoting two of them. The book with the characters that I created myself is called Secret Coders. This is actually the second volume of a 6-volume series. The official release date is actually 3 days from today, but Joe and Libby Field are special people, so they got them early.
We always get the exclusives.
Yeah. That's right. And it's a series targeted at middle grade students, teaching them how to code computers. I'm working with a guy named Mike Holmes on it. He's an amazing cartoonist. He actually did some work for Adventure Time and for Bravest Warriors before working with me. And together we're telling a story that's a little bit like Harry Potter. There is a group of kids that find the secret school, but the secret school, instead of teaching magic, teaches coding.
Which I know from my own son is very popular.
Yeah, it's really popular right now.
And I had to say, I don't know what it says about me because, I mean, he knows more about this stuff than I do. It's a language that, okay, I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's like picking up a language, right?
Yeah.
Like little kids just pick up languages easier. And the thing is, the Silicon Valley is in America, but for a while, for a couple of decades, computer education was actually on the decline, and now we're finally seeing it spike back up. So it's kind of a crazy thing, right? Because so much of computers comes out of our country, but our country doesn't do a great job of teaching those skills to our students, and we're trying to change that. I taught high school computer science for 17 years, and that's largely what this book comes out of. It's me taking the lessons that I used to do on my board and putting them into a comic book.
Yeah, and I was going to ask that is, like I said, kids, for whatever reason, they just pick up on this stuff. How do you tailor it so it's not so difficult for them? It's not just like a textbook. It's more fun.
Well, we're hoping, first of all, we're telling a story, and we're hoping that the story will compel the reader through the educational parts. And second is we end each chapter with a little puzzle for the readers to solve, and we're hoping that the readers will find that fun as well.
So educational and interactive.
Yeah, that's what we're hoping. So the second book that I'm promoting is actually the second issue of New Superman, which is a series that I'm doing with DC Comics. And this is about a brand new character in the DC universe, a kid named Kenan Kong, 17 years old, grows up in Shanghai, who inherits some of Clark Kent's powers and becomes the Superman of China. And he also hangs out with these two characters, the Wonder Woman of China and the Batman of China.
Yeah, I was actually at WonderCon this year when they announced it, and that, out of all the titles that they announced, that was the one that made everybody like, wait, what? So,
I agree. I mean,
that wasn't your idea. That was
It was
actually
not my idea.
Jim Lee and I think it was Jeff Johns that
Yep,
came up
Jim
with
Lee
it.
and Jeff Johns wanted to do something. They especially wanted to see an Asian character in the Superman family, and they brought it up to me, and I was like, no, I don't want to do that. That sounds like it's going to be terrible. Because like my family is actually from Taiwan, and I don't know if you're familiar with like the Chinese political scene, but it's really crazy. It's a really crazy, complex scene, right? And my family actually I come from a family that has very specific views about politics in China, and Superman is all about truth, justice, and the American way, right? It's about American values, American political systems, and I thought, man, that is not a good mix. It's going to have so many cultural and political landmines. I just didn't want to do it. But then I'm a huge Jim Lee fanboy, so he was able to convince me.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say also who did it? Not Man of Steel, but the one before that, the Superman movie. That it took out that line and the American way, and that caused a big stink. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, we're putting something like that back in.
Yeah.
in China, just to see how things go.
Yeah, well, so far, how's the response been?
It's been great. The first issue made the top 10 list for July. It's debut month, and we've been really happy with it. Yeah, we've gotten a tremendous response on social media. It's been great.
Yeah, and how do you feel personally? I mean, maybe you might be a little biased because you are working on the title like it, but I see that a lot now, and it's a great thing that they're bringing more diversity to the titles, but, and we discussed on the Geek Speak show a lot, it should be original characters. I mean, a lot of the readers, they don't like the fact that you're just taking characters that have been there, some for 75 years or more, and they're just turning them into, whatever you have to do for diversity.
Yeah, I get that argument. I think, so to be honest, I think you need both, right? Because there are legacy characters that are the same ethnicity as the character that came before them. Like Green Lantern is... Hal Jordan is not the first Green Lantern, right? Alan Scott was the first Green Lantern. So Hal Jordan is a popular character who actually is a legacy character. So it can work, right? And I think one of the arguments against having characters of color take over these legacy roles is that sooner or later you're going to be asked to give it back. Yeah. Right? Like that happened to Adam. Adam was Ray Palmer and then became Ryan Choi, and then eventually they got rid of Ryan Choi and gave it back to Ray Palmer. And then for a while, like even with Green Lantern, the most prominent Green Lantern in the world was Jon Stewart, the African American, because of the TV show. And eventually they just reverted back. So one of the arguments, at least from the perspective of a person of color, is that you don't want these legacy characters because sooner or later you're going to be asked to give that role back, right? But I do think that what you get out of the legacy is, number one, you get a lot more exposure right away. And two is you get to have like an existing narrative to kind of play around with. So for instance, what we're doing with New Superman is we're seeing how truth, justice, and the American way play out in like modern China. And we're hoping that that'll be pretty interesting. I think especially in terms of issues of representation, the solution is going to be both. You need both legacy characters, and you also need brand new characters.
Yeah, you're actually the first one that actually gave me a real well thought out answer. Because most people are like, yeah, I hate it, or something like that along those lines. So yeah, I like that answer. Now here we're at the FlyCo Mini IndieCon, and a lot of independent creators are outside. We've talked to them. Now for you, do you think we need more events like this to get the independents know more than like the big two?
Absolutely. I think I'm just big on diversity in general, like diversity in every sense of the word, right? Including like diversity of creators. There are so many amazing stories right now that are being told in comics that are not being told by the big two. If you look at like Image is kind of a crazy thing, right? Image, you no longer even consider that indie, but Image really started off as an indie thing. Yeah. And I think if you look at a lot of the self-published work right now, there's a lot of just really interesting and creative stuff coming out. I personally am partial to self-published stuff because I started off as a self-publisher. I spent the first several years of my career just putting stuff out on my own. So I think what Libby and Joe are doing here, what the Flying Color staff is doing here is so important to the growth of the industry. Yeah, and going on that line, how do you address, or how do you bring in, I should say, more, not the talent but the writers? How do you tell them? Because there's a lot of stories like you and I, we're diverse people. We're not the typical. So
we need to get our voices out there. We need to get our stories out there. How do you inspire those people to go ahead and tell their stories and get them published?
Well, I think a lot of them are out there already. Like if you go to Alternative Press Expo, I don't know if you've ever been.
Yeah.
And so that's a show that's focused on independent voices. And if you look at who's tabling, it looks like America. It's like people of every kind of background you can think of, right? But for some reason, when you go from there to moving to working for like a larger corporation, I think a lot of those voices get left behind. And I think there are a lot of different things that we can do. Number one is we can promote the really good books that are being put out in small print runs, right? And number two is people who are currently working at the big companies can hold the door open for people to come in. You know, in a lot of ways, I kind of feel like that kind of happened to me, right? It's like there are people who are people of color or who just care about diversity issues in general at DC who advocated for me getting hired. And I'm like, I think people like that are kind of, they're pointing the way to the future. They're pointing the way to us having stories that reflect who we are as a people.
Yeah, you must be a big Star Trek fan because that's one of the big things in it. IDIC, infinite diversity and infinite combinations.
Yeah,
that's a big thing. A lot of people like Star Trek, so
I mean that's the world we live in now, right?
Yeah, finally.
Yeah.
If Gene Roddenberry was here, he would say finally.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's
so
right.
Again, Gene, tell everybody where they can follow you online, where they can find all your books.
Sure. I have a website. It's GeneLuenyang.com, and then I have books right now coming out from First Second Books, from DC Comics, and from Dark Horse Comics.
There it is. Gene, thanks a lot.
All right, thank you.
The Geek Speak Show, finishing up the second annual FlyCo Mini IndieCon. Here with us, Matt, Dylan. How are you guys?
I'm good.
Yeah, I'm doing good.
Talk about what you guys are showing.
This is the second issue of Pop Apocalypse. We had the first one last year. It's basically Mad Max meets McDonald's. They're all like advertising icons in like a post-apocalyptic world trying to kill each other.
How did you come up with that?
I started with the Colonel, and he was like riding a giant war chicken, and I was like, I got to do something with this.
Yeah, it's usually how good ideas start.
Yeah. And Dylan's my cover artist. He did this awesome Tony the Tiger.
Yeah, Matt, I've been a fan of his comics since the first issue, and he has so many cool designs. I just did this one for fun because I really liked the character, and he decided to use it for his comic, and now I'm the cover artist. So
Yeah, officially cover artist.
Yeah.
Is this the first time you do a cover?
Yeah.
Yeah. How was that? How's that feel to have it
I
out
had
there?
no idea. I just did it as fan art, to be honest, just for fun, because I like what Matt does, and he liked it and used it for his comics, so it was cool.
He surprised me with it. Like I went online on Facebook and he just tagged me on Facebook. I was like, "What's this guy tagging me?" And then I go in there and it's this. And I was like backflipping and stuff. Like it was so cool that I just couldn't believe it.
Yeah, so you had to put it in. So now that it's actually out there, it's real. He's not getting too Hollywood on you now, is he?
Well, he's got the new sunglasses.
Yeah, I might be. I don't know.
He's going Hollywood. Yeah.
He's not demanding the sparkling water.
Not yet.
Yeah. So besides this, you got anything else going on?
I do. I have a book coming out through Action Labs in November. I wrote it and colored it, and then a friend of mine, Mark Simmons, is drawing it.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Dr. Mordred. So if you see that, Dr. Mordred, order it as soon as it's in Diamond, and I'll be your best friend. I'll be everybody's best friend.
Okay. And where can they follow you online?
You can follow me on Instagram, Stilts, STILLTS.
Yeah, mine is at Dylan Vermeulen, so probably nobody's going to be able to spell that, but you can give it a shot. Yeah, I'm just Dylan Vermeulen on Facebook, Instagram, whatever, Twitter, so I'm online.
Yeah.
So Dylan, now that you're, I guess we can call you a professional, do you want to keep doing this, or was it just for Matt's?
I mean, what I mostly do is like caricatures. I do a lot of caricature portrait kind of stuff, but yeah, it's a lot of fun doing the comic covers, and I would definitely do it again. So
how long did it take you to do this one?
This one is probably like 4 or 5 hours, something like that.
4 or 5 hours, not bad for 4 or 5 hours.
Thanks.
I can see why you liked it.
I think he's lying. I think it took him a week, but that's just me.
So again, it's
No,
Matt.
I've seen him work. It's fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Matt and Dylan again at the second FlyCo Mini IndieCon. Thanks, you guys.